Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. So for today's video, I figured I would talk about TV show, which yes is something I would do like once in a blue moon. I rarely would talk about TV shows really because I'm not really the one to talk about or even bother watching TV shows to begin with. So this is one of these few exceptions that I would do, of course. So okay, recently I just got to watching a TV show Wednesday, which by the way is something I've been meaning to do anyway, and he has something in Gods of Goth kind of a thing, I guess. So I figured that seems like a reasonable thing to do. Talk about some Goth stuff. Why not? At least to some extent, Goth adjacent, I guess. But anyway, it's like having a mixture of a school thing or some kind of academy, I guess. It becomes this kind of a thing. So like a combination of these two things right here, folks. And yes, technically Wednesday herself gets expelled from school, but she gets pretty much gets sent to another school, kind of a thing going on here. So anyway, so that's pretty much the ideal setting for the TV show when you think about it. So there you go, I reckon. But anyway, so as expected, yes, obviously the character Wednesday is quite clearly an outcast. It becomes really apparent in the show. Even among other outcasts, she's not really welcomed, really. But before anyone says it, I did not pay for the service for this. Of course, I actually bought the physical copy of this TV show, by the way, because when it comes to Netflix, they know what they did. They know what they did when it comes to a certain thing. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. Just leave it at that. They're a bunch of perverts. Give me a break. Anyway, and the actress who played the other Wednesday, she actually does make an appearance in the show as a different character, obviously. A very important character. What do I mean? I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, of course, as usual, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So, here we go. Right in the beginning of the show, we get to see that Wednesday herself doesn't like the fact that her brother, Pegsley, was getting picked on. So she felt that it was in her duty to actually do something about this. To show people don't pick on Wednesday. No, Pugsy. Only Wednesday can do that. Sounds reasonable enough, I guess. Anywho, so yeah, so she gets kicked out of one school and has to be sent to another, so to speak. But yes, of course, this film does show that her parents obviously would enroll her into this kind of high school academy kind of a thing. That was just supposed to be this private school for these monstrous outcasts. And this takes place in some kind of town, of course. And yes, Wednesday's code, or most of his personality, does in some ways get in the way. Her distant nature makes it really difficult for her to make any friends and whatnot. And again, it really shows that that does get in the way, especially with the roommate that she has. Yeah, her roommate's like a werewolf kind of a creature, I reckon. And yes, of course, her roommate does attempt to, of course, get to know her, but of course, obviously, that's easier said than done. And yes, that comes in on a really apparent throughout the TV show, quite obviously. So yes, there's even some kind of infighting within the school itself. Blondie over here does attempt to be her friend, like I was saying a moment ago. She has this werewolf thing going on, and that was supposed to be suppressed. Then, as the show progresses, yes, her parents do become an important figure throughout the show, and especially one episode. Not only that, yes, in this school kind of a thing, the character thing does sneak his way into the school as well to do his thing. I guess you can say he has an important role through an entire story. And I did like the one bit where she has to play this instrument. Of course, that was cool. It was actually not bad actually. I know it sounds like I'm pretty much glancing over quite a bit of stuff here, but this is pretty much a mini series because there's only 8 episodes. It was quite short actually throughout the entire thing. You see Wednesday going through this various situations, and ultimately, what I can say is that it's pretty much a murder mystery. That's what this comes off as. It's a murder mystery. And yes, as you can guess already, nobody really trusts Wednesday because she's an Adams. And that fact alone does quite clearly become a thing in the show. Oh, she's an Adams. She can't be trusted. She's too weird, even among other weirdies. Even for them, she's too strange. She's too odd. Therefore, nobody can really trust her. She's not trustworthy because of that. So yes, the whole idea of bigotry to some extent is explored in here when you think about it. Oh yes, the dancing, the dance that Wednesday Adams had done in the show. I know a lot of people want me to say something about that because a lot of people have mentioned it already. It's cool in its own way. I liked it. It's just a cool little dance she did. It's really graceful in a lot of ways. It's nice to look at. I liked what she was trying to do. I like her facial expression that she had throughout the entire thing. The way it was done, it's just really graceful. It's feminine in its own little way, and that's fine. So yeah, it's a cool little dance. I actually do like that. Actually, it's really cool. Okay, that aside, I can definitely say that this was a pretty solid show as a whole. It's actually well written. Well, I do have some complaints about the show, but it's not enough to weigh it down really. From thinking about it, but at the end of the day, I gotta say the story is well constructed. And yes, this was done from Tim Burton. When it comes to Tim Burton, I usually don't like his work as a whole because his work is a hit or miss. But this is one of those few times where I actually did like his work here. The character's nicely written, as I was saying. The acting isn't too bad, and yes, of course, there's a Tim Burton's signature goth feel look to it, and it shows in here. And yes, of course, when it comes to the more modern takes on characters that have been around for more than 40 years, it can be a hit or miss. It can be a hit or miss. Usually a miss. Yes, this kind of thing is usually a bad thing, quite obviously, because a lot of the time, when people are trying to do their own modern take on characters that have been around for quite some time, I'm trying to modernize them. It usually spells disaster, to which I will agree on that. But this was one of the better takes on this character because what Tim Burton wanted to do, he did not want to reboot anything. He just wanted to do his own version in some ways. He basically wanted to do the next chapter on Wednesday because we're already familiar with the character enough where she originally came from. So he didn't want to redo what was already done. He just wanted to do his own take of the character and just expand on what was already been there already. So I guess that's fine. I reckon. It's fairly short. It's not that long, really, come to think about it. Anywho, it's a solid series, and I would recommend it. It's not too shabby. So I give the show a Nova rating of a 7.2 out of 10. It's a 7.2 out of 10 for me. As always, thanks for watching, and take care. Till next time, see ya. Oh yeah.